Hi everyone, welcome back to TechThriveX. Today we are diving into the real world scenario based questions. These questions are based upon our previous video. Today I will give you a scenario and you will guess the right constraint that we need to use and we will test that query. Before moving to our scenario based questions, let's discuss about the interview questions that we have given in our previous video. The first question is, can a table have more than one primary key? The answer is no, we cannot have more than one primary key for a table. It is just like the fingerprint to remember. Here comes our second question. What happens if I delete a record linked by a foreign key? If you try to delete a record that is linked by a foreign key, the database will restrict that command. It will throw an error called as it is linked to a foreign key. So what if you want to delete that record anyway? So first you need to check, I mean in the child table, how many records are linked to that particular record, and you need to delete all those records in the child table first, then you need to delete it in the parent table. Here comes our third question. What is the core difference between unique and primary key? The core difference is that unique allows null values and primary key does not. Now let's jump into our scenario based questions. Today we will be using Visual Studio Code as our IDE and SQL Server as our database. So here comes our first scenario. Let's assume a company notices that multiple users are registering with the same email address, causing confusion in login and notification. At this moment, which constraint would you apply to the email column to prevent duplicate entries and why? So here for email column, we need to prevent the duplicate entries. That is what they mean, right? So if we want to prevent the duplicate entries, we can use unique constraint. Okay. So now we will see whether that unique constraint is really preventing it from duplicate entries or not. So let's create a table users with user ID as a column with primary key, because mostly user ID should always be unique and it should not be null. And we are taking another column as username and email, for which we are using unique constraint. Let's create this table. See, yeah, command has completed, which means this table is created. Let's see. See, users table is created. Okay. Now let's try to insert the data. Okay. So now we are trying to insert the data where the ID is 1, alias is the name, and alias@example.com is the email address. Let's insert it. See, one row is affected, which means that row is inserted. Let's see whether that row is inserted or not. Select star from users. You guys know, right? Why we use star? Star means to fetch all the details, all the column details, you can say. Okay. See, the data is loaded. Now let's try to insert another record with ls@example.com as the email address and see whether it is allowing duplicates or not. See, it is saying that unique key constraint violation. which means we cannot and insert duplicate key in this particular column. Okay. So now we have satisfied this, right? Yeah. So now let's talk about our second scenario. Let's say an order is placed in the system, but the customer ID does not exist in the customer's table, which means an orphan order is inserted. So we need to prevent it, right? So for that, what we need to do? Okay. So we will create a connection between customer's table and orders table using foreign key. Okay. So what does this foreign key do? This foreign key will check if any order comes. It will check the ID that is present in that order is present in the customer's table, customer's ID or not. So let's try to do this. Okay. So let's create a customer's table. Okay. Let's create it. Customer ID and customer name. And customer ID is primary key. Okay. Because it should not be null, right? And it should be unique. Okay. So now we have created the table customers. See, customers table is created. Now let's try to create a orders table. See, every time I am just selecting the query, you guys have must have got a question, right? Why I am selecting the query that I am running. If I do not select the query, it will run the whole commands that are present in this particular page. So I just want to run this command only. So I have selected it. Okay. So we are creating the orders table. Okay. So okay. So here you can see the column names. Okay. Order ID is the primary key. Order date we are taking and customer ID as a int. Okay. So foreign key customer ID. This particular customer ID means it is pointing to the customer ID in orders table. Okay. It is referencing to customer's table customer ID. This customer's table's customer ID. Okay. This constraint will check whether the customer ID in orders table is present in customer's table customer ID or not. Okay. Let's create this table first. So now we have created a relationship between these two tables. Now let's try to insert some data into customers table first. Okay. See, two rows are affected because we have inserted two records. Okay. With customer ID as one ls and customer ID 2 as Bob. Okay. Now let's see whether those records are inserted or not. Select star from customers. See, here is the data that is present in customers table. Okay, now let's try to insert the data into orders table. Okay, okay, sorry. We have created orders table, right? Not orders just. For that reason, it got failed. Okay, so now two rows are inserted. Start from orders. Okay, let's see. Okay, so here is the data. So now what we need to do? Okay, so here the main question is that orphan order should not be inserted. Okay, so here in customers table there is one and two IDs. So let's try to insert that. Okay. And let's keep the order name as 103. Okay. This is the order ID, this is the order date, and this is the customer ID. So customer ID 3 is not present in customer step. So it should not allow it to insert. So let's see. See, the insert statement conflicted with the foreign key constraint, which means it is not allowing a record if the customer ID is not present in customer step. This is how we can prevent the orphan records from getting inserted. Okay, hope you guys are clear about it. Now let's see. Okay, if you want to delete a record in parents table, okay, see customer ID 1 is there, right? So let's try. You guys saw I have explained at the beginning, right? We have a question where it asked, can we delete a record if it is linked to foreign key? So here let's try it. See, it is showing conflicted with the reference constraint because this customer ID 1 is having a record in orders table for that reason. If we delete, let's try. Okay, from orders table, we are deleting all the records where customer ID is 1. Okay, so we have deleted. Now let's try to delete it from customers table. So now it will accept it. Let's see. Because there are no orders assigned to this, I mean referencing to this particular customer. See, now it got deleted. You can see the records as well. Okay, let me show you guys. See, customer ID 1 got deleted, and in the same way, here also, customer ID 1 got deleted. No records are there with customer ID 1. This is how we need to do if we want to delete a record from parent table while using a foreign key. Okay, now let's go to our third scenario. Now HR wants to ensure every employee has a unique identifier that cannot be empty. You guys already know, right? If it need to be a unique identifier, we can use two constraints. That is one unique constraint as well as primary key. Here it is saying it cannot be empty, which means it is primary key. Okay. So let's try this. Okay. See, we have created a employee table. So employee ID is primary key. Now let's try to duplicate it and try to insert null values into it and check whether it is accepting or not. Okay. Now let's say we are inserting the data. See, it got inserted. Now let's try to insert a null value. Okay. In place of employee ID. Okay. Let's try it. See, because it is a primary key, right? So it is not allowing null values into this particular call. Okay, it is not accepting the null values. So this one got completed. Now let's see whether it is a unique identifier or not. Let's try to insert the record with employee ID 1 because it is already inserted, right? So let's see whether it is accepting the duplicate record or not. See, violation of primary key constraint, which means It is not allowing the duplicate records. Okay. So you guys understood, right, why we are using primary key for this particular scenario. Now let's go to our next scenario. See, here when new users sign up, many forgot to select their country. The company wants to automatically assign USA if no country is provided. Okay. So what does it mean? For this particular country column, they want automatically assign USA as a value if they do not provide any value to it. Okay. So that is the question. So for that we are using default constraint and this is the value. Okay. So let's try to create this user profile table now and let's see what is happening if we are not giving the country details. Okay. Now let's try to insert a data first. LIS Canada and this is the three columns. Okay. It got inserted. Okay. Now let's try to insert only profile ID and username. We are not adding the country name here. So now let's see. Okay. In this case, what it need to do is it need to assign the USA as a default value and it need to get inserted. See, it got inserted. Now let's see the details. Okay. Let's see the data. Select star from what is the table name? User profiles. Okay. Now let's select this and run it. Okay. See, in place of country, it inserted USA. Whereas we have not given any name here. Okay. Hope you got it. Now let's check our fifth scenario. Okay. In our fifth scenario, a university database requires both roll number and email to be unique identifier for students. Okay. So here comes the question. Can a table have multiple unique constants and how is it different from a primary key? Okay. So here in our question, they want roll number and email ID to be unique. I mean, there should not be any duplicates in this. Okay. And another question is that what is the difference between unique and primary key? You guys already know, right? Unique accepts null values. Primary key does not accept null values. That is the main difference. Okay. Now let's try to create a table students. Here for roll number also we have given unique and for email also we have given unique. Okay. Here the question is can a table have multiple unique constants? So if we run this, if the table gets created, which means it is accepting two uniques, which means multiple uniques are accepted. Okay. And I have already set the difference right between primary key and unique key. It accepts null values, unique accepts null values, and primary key does not accept null values. And one more thing is that this primary key in a table we can use only one primary key, but we can use as many uniques as we needed. Okay, here comes our last scenario. Let's say a hospital database requires every patient record to have a date of birth. Which constraint ensures this column cannot be left empty? Okay, so let's say, can we use primary key here? You people may say yes, no, something, right? So, what will happen if we use primary key? If we use primary key, it won't allow duplicates, right? But date of birth is a column which will have many duplicates. I mean, same person can be born in the same year or same month or same date as well, right? So it should be duplicates. I mean, it should allow duplicates, but it should not be left empty. That is what they want. Okay. So we are using not null constraint here. Okay. We are creating the table patient, patient ID, patient name, and date of birth. Data is not null. Let's create it. Okay. We have created the patient's table. Now let's try to insert the data. Okay. We have inserted it. Let's insert another record as well. Okay, we have inserted it. Now let's check whether this not null column is working fine or not. I mean, is it allowing nulls or not? Okay, let's try to insert a null record. Okay, let's name this 3 and B. Okay, let's name it B. Okay, here we are inserting a null value in date of birth column. See, it is not allowing it, and it is saying that the insert value null into column table. Column does not allow nulls. Okay. So which means our not null constraint is working fine. This is how we solve the constraints. Okay. So these are the interview questions where SQL constraints saves the day. Okay. Practice these queries. Understand each constraint and its characters, what it does, and why we need to use this particular constraint at this particular time. Why we are not using other constraint. Everything. Just try to keep on memorizing, keep on practicing, and let me know if you have any questions. You can drop it in the comment box. Okay. So tell me which scenario you like the most. You can comment it down in the comments. Okay. So now we will move from rules to filter with SQL classes in our next video. Till then, subscribe the channel and grow beyond your limits. I will see you all in the next video.